Hey, how you doing? We are live again on Wednesdays. It doesn't matter. You can be watching this on a Friday or a Saturday afternoon. It's fine. It's another live stream. And we are going to keep working on the Infolist. No, wait. Yeah, the Carousel package. Well, I can't even remember what we're working on. We are working on the Carousel package, taking things from where we left off last week. We created a small full page library component that implements filament infolists, and we created a small text entry that just displays a simple message. And today, what I want to do is to create a custom infolist entry, which is going to serve as the wrapper for the package that we have already working, which is the component, the blade component package. So we have a blade component for the carousel. I want to wrap that around an infolist entry and have that running as a package. So we're going to see how that works, how we can manage assets, how we can have a package be a requirement for other packages, a lot of good stuff. If everything goes well, which I hope it's going to be a shorter, relatively shorter video today, relatively shorter stream. But that means everything went well and we had no issues, which is generally a good thing. Let's see. So what we have right now is this. And the first thing I want to do is take that from all the way from the edge and just move it on the center and have it be a bit down the screen, like having a bit of margin on the top. Hamad, how you doing, my friend? Thank you for being here. So yeah, let's take this over here and down here, just so that when we get to the carousel part and we get to see things, they're not just all the way there. And just so you know, I already have a Vite server running. So where do we modify this? Is it in the layout? Sources, views, layouts, app.blade.php. No, layout is fine. So it's got to be in our demo package, sorry, demo component, Infolist demo. Yeah, let's do it here. It's a class, and I don't really have to think too much about it. Let's actually steal the classes that we had on the previous demo page, which is this one right here. And it's all of these classes. So let's just say visual inside double quotes, yoink, move here, and paste. So we just have a container, flex, item center, justify center, margin X auto, padding top 14, text center. That should be enough. Let's see how that looks. Perfect. All right. What do we do next? So first thing that we should do is create a custom component. It's going to be an Infolist entry. So let's create a custom Infolist entry that we can then use to wrap our blade component around. So I'm going to do this inside the demo project because the demo project already has Filament installed. So it's easier to just create a class or a component using the CLI or the artisan command, and then let that scaffold the code for you, tweak it up a bit, and then we can move that code into the package. So let's close a few things here. Let's go to the terminal. Let's say PHP artisan make Infolist entry, and let's call this entry, let's just call it carousel. That way, when we are using it, we can just say carousel colon make. It's gonna look, it's going to look pretty good. So let's just make that. And we have the carousel.php class inside app Infolist components. And that also has a view inside resources, views, Infolist components, carousel. So let's work on, let's use it first. Let's go back to our demo component, which is in Livewire, Infolist demo. And let's see. Instead of this entry, let's actually change this. And let's use the component that we just made. So let's go up here and let's use that component, which is called Carousel. And again, it's found in app Infolist components carousel. And let's use it down here. And let's change the state a bit, because I want to work with slides. If this is a carousel, it makes sense that we are going to work with slides, which in my mind is just an array of values. Could be an array of values or could be a single value. Let's start with a single value. So the key here is going to be slides. And we're pretending that this actually comes from a database. We're not going to deal with collections or database data right now. We're going to leave that for probably next week. So for now, let's just pretend that this comes from a model class. And let's say that we just have one slide. Let's start with a single value. And change inside single quotes, slide 1. Let's go with that. And here we can just make this for slides. Okay, save this and let's see what do we have. So it looks like it disappeared, but in fact it's not. It's just we lost classes. So the text is there, or the value for the state is there. We just don't have any classes. So let's fix that so we can see it. Let's head into the view for this carousel Infolist component. Resources, views, Infolist components, carousel.blade.php. And as you can see, we just have a dynamic component wrapping this div where we just echo the state of the component. Let's give it a few classes here. Class, let's say text gray 950, and on dark mode, let's make it text white. Okay, so we have the state of the slide, but as I mentioned before, I want to work with, generally speaking, an array of items, an array of slides. So let's change the state in the demo in Livewire component, and let's transform this. Let's say that we visual around single quotes. That's too much. Visual end, like that. And let's surround this with an array. And let's take this, down here. And let's add a few entries here. So let's say single quote, slide 2, and then slide 3. So as soon as we do this, we're going to have a problem, because Laravel is going to complain that this echo statement here, whenever you put something in between two curly brackets, is going to try and echo that value. But since we're passing an array and not a string, it's telling us I can't echo this value because it's a string. So because it's an array, I need a string so that I can echo this to the screen. So what do we do here? Let's deal with the value that we have. If we go back here and into the view, let me just demonstrate what do we have in get state. What do we get back from get state? So I'm going to open PHP blog here, and I'm just going to dd get state. Hi Visul, how you doing, man? Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. Am I saying it correct? Visul? Is the accent somewhere else? All right, so if we do this, what we get in return is obviously an array of values. So that's the state of the component. But I want to be able to, in this case, I just want to display every single item in that array. So how do we deal with that? Is basically, let's change this. Let's change this line. So instead of just using the value out of get state, we're going to transfer this into a variable called state array. So let's do state array equals get state. Now, when we're dealing with get state, my pleasure to have you. Thank you for being here. When we are dealing with get state, as we saw before, we can either have a single value or we can have an array. And I want to deal with both scenarios because both are valid scenarios. So in the case where we have a single value, I want to put that into an array. And if it's already an array, let's just leave it like that. And the way that we can do that is by simply say, again, state array equals, and I'm going to use a support class from Laravel. It's called Illuminate support ARR : and then wrap. And here we pass state array. So what that wrap method, what that's going to do is going to take the value, and if it's not an array, it's going to put that value inside an array. And if it's already an array, it's just going to return that value back. It's not going to change it. And in fact, let me show you. Let's dd state array again. Refresh, and what did we do wrong? Unexpected token. Where? I'm sorry, what? Oh, okay. So this is backslashes instead. Okay. All right. Pass that error, and again, we get the same thing because it's already an array. But if we go back to the component and let's take this back a few steps and let's take it back to just being a single value. We refresh this, we get that single value, sorry, but it's going to wrap it around an array. So we get both scenarios and we still end up with an array, because the next thing that I want to do is to display the entries of that array. So down here, let's just open a for each state array as state, and down here end for each, and let's output the state, and let's add a breakpoint at the end, just so that we can have every item on its own line. All right, let's save that. Let's remove this DD from here. And if we refresh, now we get the value. In this case, it's just a single value because there is just one item in the array. But let's go back to the component and let's add back the other two entries. Let's turn this into an array again. And it still works. We still have slide 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So we have the beginnings of what we want for the carousel component. At least we have a component that is a custom Infolist component. And now what we have to do is take this component and move it as part of our Infolist carousel package, so that from there, we're going to start fleshing it out a bit more. So if you remember from last week, we also created the scaffold for our Infolist package. Where is it? Packages here. So we have this new Infolist carousel. And we remove everything that we don't need it. And right now it's just resources for views, resources views, and just a source folder with the service provider. That's all. Thinking what we should do first. Yeah, since we are not going, okay, let's do this. Let's just move this carousel component that we just created, this carousel Infolist entry. Let's move it into the package, and that's actually pretty straightforward. All we need to do is, don't close that folder. Come on, keep it open. Let's head over to app, Infolist components carousel, and I'm just going to take this entire Infolist folder. From the Infolist folder, I'm just going to drag that, and I'm going to put that in the source folder of our Infolist carousel package, because the source folder in our package is the equivalent of the app folder in our demo project. So we have the class already there, and let's also take the view. So let's head over to, in our demo project, take resources, and I'm gonna open this too. I need it. So in our demo project, we have resources, resources views, Infolist components, carousel.by.php. And again, I'm going to, well, yeah, let's take the whole folder just to keep everything in their corresponding place. So I'm going to take this Infolists folder from the view folder of our demo project, and I'm going to put it in the Infolist carousel package resources views folder. Okay. Next thing that we need to do is to fix the namespace on the Infolist components carousel class, because it's no longer in the app Infolist components namespace. It is now, instead of app, we can change this to our package name. So that's the package name that we gave to the project when we created it last week. That should be all. Now let's also, we need to modify the location of the view for this component because again, it's no longer in the demo project's resources view folder. Now we need to prefix this with the package namespace for the views, and that would be Infolist Carousel, and then colon. So it's going to look for this view in our Infolist Carousel package inside resources views Infolist components carousel. Let's see what else in our demo project. Let me close this and this. Now, instead of using the component from app Infolist components, again, let's just replace app with our package name. Let's see if that works. Let's go back to the browser, and sure enough, we have the same thing. Everything is working as it was, but the difference is that now that custom Infolist entry is running not from the demo project, but from our package project. And that's what we want. And now we can start and flesh out the component and basically create what we already had last week with the blade component. I want to see that same component wrapped in an Infolist entry and me be able to use it like this. Now, the first thing that we should do is, since I'm going to be working with pretty much the same assets from the blade component carousel, the carousel blade component, what I should do and what I must do is make sure that there are no conflicts, because you know, JavaScript is funny sometimes, and we should not work on this if the assets and all of the requirements from the blade component is still in this project, in the demo project. So let's start by removing the blade carousel component completely from the demo project. Close here. And the way that we do this is, first, let's go to the composer.json file in our demo project. And up here in the requirements, let's just remove this line. We no longer need the carousel component here. We are going to need it, but not from here. So let's save that, and let's fix, we are not going to need the JavaScript import. So we can go to resources, JS, app.js, and let's take this line from here, remove it. And also let's fix something else that is happening that you are not seeing, but there is a problem here. If you open the terminal, there is this warning here saying that there are multiple instances of Alpine running. Why is that? Because Filament already comes bundled in with Livewire and Alpine.js, and Filament on its internal cycle or its internal functioning, it's also initializing Alpine.js and starting Alpine.js. But if you remember, we are also doing this in the Bootstrap file right here. We are importing Alpine.js, we are putting it on the Windows scope and then starting it. And that's the problem. We should not do that because Filament is already doing that. So we can go to solve this problem, we just have to go to our layout file in resources, views, layouts, app.blade.php, and just basically remove this line where I'm asking Vite to include the app.js file. Once we say that, we are good with just the Filament scripts, which is the place where Filament is initializing everything that it needs to work. So now the error is gone and we are good to go. To finish things off, Let's run composer update just to make sure that we get rid of our component or our blade component. So here, let's do composer update. And there should be a line saying removing the carousel package. Yeah, there it is. All right, cool. So it removed the blade component carousel package and just kept the Infolist package, I suppose. Yeah, nothing else. Yeah, here it is. How to discover, but only the Infolist carousel. Okay, now that we have a blank canvas, we do need that package, but we are not going to require it as we're not going to ask the user to install that package along the Infolist package. What we want to do is, if you're just using the Infolist package, we want to make the blade component package a requirement for it, so it will install it on its own. So what we are going to do is go to packages, Infolist carousel, and we are going to open that project's composer.json, and we are adding that line as part of our requirements. So 2.19.102 carousel, and we are using start. Now, because the demo project's composer.json file already has a section for repositories, we already have a reference for this package's location, so we don't really need to add it again in the Infolist carousel package composer.json file. It's already defined as a reference, so Composer knows where to find it. Okay. So just to demonstrate what is going to change, let's take a peek at the demo project's vendor folder. And if we go to our folder here, you can see that there is just one folder for the Infolist carousel package in our vendor folder. But now that we made the carousel package blade component as a requirement, we can run composer update again. Let me clear the screen first. Let's run composer update one more time. And what this is going to do is going to say, oh, you need that other package? Fine, I'll install it for you. You don't have to do anything. In fact, there it is, installing carousel. And now it's installed and auto discovered. And now in our vendor folder, we have the Infolist carousel package and the carousel package installed. All right. Now that we have these two working and installed, why don't we, let's see, where do we go first? Make sure that nothing has broken. No, there's still. Why don't we just create the same layout for the carousel inside this components view, inside the Infolist? That should be pretty simple. Let's head over to, in our demo project, we should have resources, views, demo, right? Yeah. Let's use this. So I'm gonna visual selection this, 22 down, yank, and let's open packages, Infolist carousel, resources, views, info list components, carousel. And let's put that here. For now, I'm just going to get rid of this momentarily and paste it here. Now, I want to iterate over the state array, but what I want to display is a bunch of carousel slides. So let's add that for each again. State array as state. And down here, and for each. Visual, let's go 12 down. That was too much. And let's remove the extra 2 slides that we have here and save. Oh, and instead of just displaying 1, this should be the state value. So let's change this to state. Okay, let's save this and take a look. And yep, we have the design. That was easy because we already made all of that work for the blade component. So we do have the design in place. What we don't have is the functionality due to all of the errors. We don't have the carousel data function that we need, and we don't have anything basically. So still not working. So now we need to deal with how do we make this work inside the Infolist custom entry. What we are going to do is the idea is this, and it may not be a perfect idea, but at least it's the one that I have. I don't want to be keeping or maintaining 2 files for this functionality. For the carousel data function, I don't want to maintain 2 copies of that functionality. That meaning that I don't want to recreate that file with that carousel data or all of those imports, the initialization of the Embla package. I don't want to have that replicated on the Infolist package. I want to keep all of that in the blade component. What I want to do is take that JavaScript functionality, tell Filament to bundle that and publish it as part of my Infolist package. So how do we do this? If you remember, I think we did it last week. As part of the Infolist Carousel package, we included one more requirement in our composer.json, and that is the Filament support package. We're going to need this to register an asset that is going to be published to our demo project. And where do we register this thing? Well, in our Infolist Carousel package, source Infolist Carousel service provider class. If you remember, this is where we configure the package, but we also have access to another function, and this is called public function package booted. So this method is going to run once our package has been auto-discovered. Here we are going to say filament asset, which is part of the filament support facades. And let's make sure that we include that. Yep, right here, filament asset. And we also have filament support assets as well. So we're going to need this too. Filament support assets JS, we're going to see how, and filament support facades, filament asset. So we're going to use this filament asset and use the register function. So this takes 2 parameters. The first one is an array of all of the assets that we want to register. And the second one is the package name. So let's take care of the second one first. And now let's register those assets. In here, I'm going to use the JavaScript support class, make, and this method takes, two parameters. The ID, which is not very descriptive, is actually the output file that Filament is going to create and publish back to our demo project. So in this case, I'm going to follow the standard of Filament for published assets. If we take a look at the terminal, you can see this section here where Filament is actually publishing a bunch of JavaScript files, and they all go into public.js, and then the package name, the kind of component, the components folder, and then the name of the file. So in this case, I want to follow that same standard. So in this case, I'm going to say, I'm going to start with our package name. Let's call it so that'll be our package name. And then what are we creating? Infolists. This is the type of component that we have. And within Infolist, we have the components folder. And inside that components folder, we have our carousel.js. Okay, so that will be the output. What's the input? That's the second parameter. The second parameter is the path where the JavaScript file that we want to publish is located. So I'm going to create a string first, and then I'm going to create a file. So this should be in a directory. We're going to use dir for the relative path to the Infolist Carousel Service Provider class, which is in the source folder. And then let's concatenate. And from here, I want to go one folder up. So that'll take me up to the root folder. And from there, I want to go into resources. And here I'm going to have another folder called dist. And inside that dist folder, I'm going to have a file called carousel.js. Why dist? Well, if I want to publish this carousel.js file, I need to first minimize it, because this carousel file, what it's going to do is it's going to include a file from the Blade component package, the Carousel Blade component package. And that file is the one that has everything that I need. Embla initialization, imports, JavaScript, the Alpine.js functions, etc. So if I want to take that and publish it to my demo project, first I need to minimize it and bundle it. Minify it, not minimize it. Because Filament is not going to minify it for me. It's not going to compress it, not going to do anything. It's just going to take the file as is and put it in my public folder in the demo project. So the next thing that I want is to actually create this file. For that, first, I'm going to go into my Infolist Carousel resources folder, and let's create one folder here called JS. And inside JS, I'm going to create a new file called carousel.js. Okay. We know for a fact that we have the Carousel Blade component installed alongside the Infolist package. So what I can say here is I'm going to start with an import. And then from this location, I'm going to go one folder up that takes me into the JavaScript folder. Then one more folder up that takes me into the root folder of the Infolist Carousel package. And if I go one more folder up, now I'm in my vendor folder. 1902. So from here, I can go into my Carousel package, into the resources folder, and I have two options. I can either take the compiled file from this package, or I can take the raw file, which is in the JavaScript folder. And then in this case, I want the index because the index then imports the carousel, and that carousel has the JavaScript, the Alpine.js carousel data function that I need for initializing Alpine.js. I guess it doesn't really matter, because in both cases, I'm going to end up with a minified and bundled asset, because I'm going to use ESBuild just like I did with the Carousel Blade component, and I'm going to ask ESBuild to take this file and just bundle it. And I guess it's going to take that other raw file from the Blade component, grab everything that it needs and just put it in one bundle, and then publish it back to our demo project. Filament is going to do that. So I guess it doesn't make a difference. For now, I'm just going to go with the raw file, because maybe if I am going to work on more features on the Blade component, I don't want to have to build or minify that every time. So let's just go with the index file here. Okay, so we have that import in our Infolist Carousel package. The next step is to minify this import or this file into an ESB using ESBuild. So just like we did with the Carousel component, let's first initialize npm. For this, I'm going to go into packages, Infolist Carousel. Let's do npm init. Package name, that stays the same. Version, that's fine. Infolist Carousel. For the description, entry point, that's fine. That's fine. Git repository, I don't care. Keywords, author. Oh, I should have put the out. Put it in later. And license, let's go with MIT. It's okay. Yes. The reason we do this is because ESBuild is going to take this file and inform what kind of build is going to create. In this case, we need a module build. Good morning, Dajit. How you doing, man? Thank you for being here. So just like we did with the configuration on our carousel component in package.json, we need this line right here. Type module. And we're going to add that same line in our Infolist component. Package.json. And let's put it here. And as I understand it, maybe I'm wrong, but as I understand it, that allows me to create a bundle package that allows me to make imports to distant files, and that file, if that file has imports, is going to grab all of those imports, grab everything that is needed, and just put it into one single minified file. And I guess the next thing, did I save this? No, I didn't. Checking. Everything's fine. Okay, let's save that and close it. Now we need to create the ESBuild configuration file. And since we already have one in our Blade component package inside the bin folder, I'm just going to take the contents of this file, copy it, and then create one file just like that in Infolist Carousel. Make a folder here called bin. Create a file, sorry. I knew that looked funny. Create a folder called bin, and then inside create a new file called build.js, and just paste the contents, and let's modify it a bit. Hold on, I'm gonna get it. Abdirahman, how you doing, my man? Thank you for being here. Took me a second, sorry. So in this case, it's still the file that I'm looking for. It's still in JS, but it's called Carousel. And I do want it as carousel.js inside resources dist. I guess everything is fine as is. Okay, let's close this file. Close this one. Let's go back to our terminal. And inside our Infolist carousel package, let's run node bin build. No errors, which is fine, which means that we now have inside resources, we have a dist folder with our minified carousel.js, and like we said before, inside our service provider, what happened? Oh, I'm not in there. I was so scared. I thought that I didn't save. I'm in the carousel package. I need to be in the Infolist carousel package. And that one has, again, another dist file, compiled file. And in our service provider, let me close this one. In our service provider, we are telling Filament to register that dist carousel.js, take that file, and publish it in our demo project inside 201.902 Infolist carousel, Infolist components, carousel.js. Now let's see that in action. If we go back here and let's go up a couple of folders. Now I'm in the demo project, and let's run composer update one more time. God, I hope everything goes well. With JavaScript, I never know. All right, we should see, there it is. Look at that. We have a new public JS, a public asset inside our package name. Well, it added one more thing here. How so? Oh, maybe it's because I needed to, I didn't need it to, oh, the ID didn't need the package name. Yeah, let's fix that. So I guess the ID doesn't need the package name. The package name comes from the second parameter. So we don't really need to include it here. Okay, let's try that again. We're going to have to delete that file from our demo project public folder first, because it's not going to delete it for us. So let's just remove the entire folder. There we go. Let's try that one more time. Composer update in our demo project. All right. Now now it looks better. Public JS, package name, vendor name, package name. What kind of component is a Infolist component called? I didn't need the .js at the end. That's funny. Okay, one more time. Sorry, I'll get it right. Close this. Okay. Don't need to include the .js extension on the ID. All right, one more time, just delete that file. There you go. Vendor name, package name, component type, components, carousel.js. And the beauty about this is that we don't have to do anything else. And I hope that that actually worked. If I go back to the browser and refresh, we have no errors in the console. Delete. Yeah, sorry. Abdul Majid, hi, how you doing, man? Thank you for being here and thank you for the help. Yeah, I had to delete the whole thing. So no errors and it works. How cool is that, huh? So now, because we have this little, in fact, let's hide that. I don't need that. I don't need that label. Let's hide that label. Everything is working from within an Infolist package, a custom Infolist entry from a package. So let's head over to app, Livewire Infolist demo, and in our Carousel package, since it's just like any other component, let's just say hidden label. And now we don't have a label up here and it's working perfectly fine. Now, there are a few things that I need to fix in this. First of all, this is all for next week. We are almost done. Next week, we are going to make it so that we can include a bunch of things that we need. For example, let's say that I need a function for loop, and that is going to take a Boolean that is going to be true by default, and we're going to be able to say false, for example. We're also going to need another function for the orientation. And let's say we want this as vertical. Another one for autoplay. And since we have autoplay, we are going to want another one for a delay, for example. So yeah, next week we are going to make it so that we can configure the Infolist package with the same, in the same way that we do with any other Infolist package in Filament. And we also need to fix one other thing, because if you notice, and let me just get, let's leave it there. If you notice in the view for this Infolist component, we go to packages, Infolist Carousel, resources, views, Infolist components, Carousel. You notice the user should be able to, you can add start with, I think you're on a delay, my friend. I'm sorry if I'm seeing your texts or your chat like late, but I think you're on a delay and you might be seeing something from the past. I don't know what you mean about can add start with. But yeah, what I want to do is give the user the opportunity or the ability to provide their own view for the slide content. Right now, I'm just using a square block with a number inside with just the value of the state. But maybe you want to use an array of images, and every image is going to be the background of use the image as the background of every slide, or whatever you want to design that. So you should be able to you should be able to provide your own slide content to the component. That's another thing that we are going to do next week. But for now, since we have the basic functionality for it, let me just get rid of this and just be happy that we have it in hidden label. I didn't want that. We have our Infolist component working within a package. All right, I think that's going to be all for today. How long do we have? Almost an hour. Okay, not as short as I thought it was going to be, but shorter than regular. Thank you everyone for showing up today. I hope you're finding this very helpful, and I hope as well that once we are done with it, it's going to be something that you can use on your projects. We should be done very soon. I think we could maybe wrap it up in maybe 2 or 3 more weeks if we can make good progress. Thank you for the love and all the hearts, and thank you again for being here. If you like this content, don't forget, before you go, give me a like. It always helps. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and as always, see you in the next one.